You're listening to The Raw Reaction on the Angry Marks Podcast Network.
Yes, it's Monday night. It is I, Angry Tensai, and with me tonight is a very special guest. He's a young shining star of the Angry Marks Network, the original Winnipeg Jet, my man, Jordan Garber. Jordan, how you doing tonight?
I completely love your intro. That intro was golden. How are you doing tonight, Tensai?
I'm glad you're here. In fact, I was actually a little bit under the weather, which usually doesn't happen to me, until we had our little pre-talk before we came on the air, and you lifted my spirits, and we're hoping you can do the same for the community tonight on what was a great Raw. So, we're excited to have you here.
It's for me to be here again. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, 2 weeks in a row, man. Big Dick is traveling on business tonight. He said he might actually be calling in. My question for you, Jordan, is, I watched Raw tonight. It was another week where I actually was able to go through the whole show without a problem. I thought it was very interesting. I thought there was some good writing. I don't know if there's different writers, but there were some great moments tonight. The only thing I didn't like tonight was the actual crowd itself. What did you think of the show?
Overall, I thought it was an okay show. It wasn't the best Raw I've seen, obviously, but it was a decent show. I really enjoyed it. I thought Raw, they did a good job. I liked the ending, which we'll obviously discuss later throughout the program, but all in all, I thought this Raw was great. I personally enjoyed it. What about you?
I loved it. I loved the only thing I didn't like was, I've actually talked about in the show in the past how I always liked the three-way component of the Daniel Bryan, Mark Henry, and Big Show matches back in the day over the world title. And I was a little scared for the actual booking of Daniel Bryan and Big Show in the spot tonight. And Big Show doesn't really look physically great these days, but my God, they actually put on a really good match tonight. I was actually really entertained. I thought it was great.
I thought it was a great match too, personally. They had all the components to it, and they had great storytelling in the match, most definitely. All in all, I would say it was a great match. I was extremely entertained by it. I pretty much watched most of the match without getting bored, for sure. What about you?
Yeah, it was such a unique match, and you know how I am about the whole big guy, small guy thing, but it really didn't come off overly ridiculous because of the way Bryan positioned his offense, and because of the fact Big Show obviously is not as mobile as he used to be, and it just, I can give flavor saying this, it came off as somewhat believable, and it was good. It was really, really good. It was probably Big Show's best match in 4 years. It was awesome.
It was really good. It's better than him sitting around eating those Cheetos. So he had a good match there.
It was very good. One thing that I actually really liked tonight that I'm a little bummed out about the way the crowd, I blame the crowd for this, and I actually want to start with this because I thought it was an awesome moment, and it came off flat, and I don't know how it did. Maybe I'm just a bigger mark for these guys than anybody. There was a match where the Ascension took on Darren Young, who was in the ring at this time making his return, and a local wrestler who's actually a pretty decent-sized dude. Ascension just came in and just dominated these guys, and to the point where it looked like someone had to stop the match, and none other than Slater Gator himself, our man Titus O'Neil, comes out to help his primetime player brother, Darren Young. They absolutely dismantle the Ascension. PTP's back together, and the crowd didn't react at all, and I was like marking out in my living room. I was loving it.
I have a question for you, and I don't know if you might know. There's a lot of people that probably don't know this. Who was Darren Young's tag team partner in that match before Titus O'Neil came out?
I have no idea. He looked like a dude from the dude from TNA.
I don't know. I don't know. It was actually kind of funny because when I first saw that match, I was like, I looked at the Ascension, I looked at Connor O'Brien, and I almost said Conan O'Brien. It's not Conan O'Brien, it's Connor O'Brien. And it's just Connor. but the guy looked like Connor. I'm like, what the hell? But it's not Connor, obviously.
He was a big dude.
Looks like Connor. He's a big dude. And it's like, I got to do some research, and hopefully I find out who it is, you know? You never know. It's actually, if you kind of look back in the past, Lance, I can't even pronounce it. Ayoni or something? I totally forgot his last name, but he was on SmackDown against the Ascension. The following week, he was on AMP, so you never know, right?
Right. I don't know who he was, but honestly, and I'm not just saying this, he looked like he could go. I mean, he was a big dude, so, he didn't really get a good shot in the match, but, I think it's a fairly big development that Primetime Players are reuniting. I think they're a tag team that really never, right when they started coming into their own after the whole Abraham Washington thing, they broke them up, so I'm excited they're back in the division. How about you?
I'm very excited. It's too bad Abraham Washington got fired, but because that guy was an awesome manager and extremely entertaining. But hopefully we could see a lot with the return of the Primetime Players. It should be a good thing to see. They're not going to go become tag team champions, I don't think, but they might get a decent run once again.
Well, the thing that worried me tonight was the fact and how WWE is so fickle is it was so flat. I hope they don't let one crowd, dictate that, but judging the fact that the crowd has no reaction for the New Day and they're still a tag team, I assume that they'll get another chance. So I really hope they do. I was glad to see the Primetime Players back together.
I'm not fond of the New Day personally. It's just
not at all.
It's just like, I don't know. It's just when they debuted, it was cool, but now I'm just already tired of it. It's just one of those things that I'm already sick of it.
Yeah, they wrestled tonight, and they had the breakup between Stardust and Goldust, who've had problems. Stardust finally snapped, and hell, losing a New Day, I'd probably snap on my brother as well. One thing I did think about in that match, just watching Kofi Kingston doing his thing, I mean, and no disrespect, well, I guess it is disrespect to Big E Langston and Xavier Woods, but Kofi Kingston is like one of the most overexposed, abused wrestlers they've ever had in their federation. I mean, he's a guy that if he was back in WCW in the late 90s, he would have been great in the cruiserweight division, and he's just a jobber in WWE, but he's so talented, it's a shame.
All of them are, actually, to be honest with you. Langston, I really started to grow respect for, and Xavier Woods is incredible. It's like, I love all three of these wrestlers, but I don't think they should all be a tag team. I think they should all just get singles pushes. That's what I think.
I guess. I don't know. I didn't like Big E Langston in NXT. The only thing he's ever done that I liked was his feud with Alberto Del Rio, which was basically just a 4-week filler to get to the Ziggler Del Rio match. They just put on a series of good matches. And, Xavier Woods, I guess, is okay, but even as Consequences Creed, I don't know. I don't remember him being anything so special, but maybe I'm mistaken, but I think Kofi by far is the most talented of the three. But we lose another tag team. So will Cody Rhodes stay as Stardust, or do you think he'll go back to Cody Rhodes?
I think it's gonna go to Stardust. Stardust is gonna get a singles push. He's gonna have this bizarre heel thing, and I think I could see it. I could picture it.
Yeah, you know what's good about that too, especially with Goldust going to retire, which is being reported pretty much everywhere. This is the last run. I like the idea that maybe kind of like how Finn Balor has his personas for the big match where he wears his war paint and games out. I like the fact that Cody Rhodes actually has flexibility of an alter ego, kind of like Cactus Jack, Dude Love, and Mankind, and you never know when he'll pull out Stardust. I think Stardust is a very cool character and cool spin on a more, I guess, less sexual but more crazy Goldust. So I like the character for sure.
Oh yeah, exactly. I completely agree with you.
Well, one thing that I absolutely loved tonight, and I really want to talk about this because to me it was my favorite segment in maybe this new year. Maybe this new year was my favorite segment. I'm a big old school WCW fan, and I saw a lot of things WCW tonight. At the end of the show, I saw Norman Smiley and Hugh Morris holding people back, and I saw a very spirited promo by Triple H and Ric Flair. Ric Flair talking about how Triple H is underestimating Sting, their time back in WCW, and Triple H alluding to maybe Sting and Ric Flair just didn't match up well. And maybe Ric Flair created Sting and he was not as special as Flair believes him to be. I loved the promo. I loved the back and forth between these two guys. It was gold. Did you like that?
I enjoyed it, yes, most definitely. The promo, Triple H, here's the thing. A lot of people complain about Triple H cutting 20-minute promos, but all of those promos, at least in my mind, I find them all entertaining. Triple H is a master on the mic.
Mm-hmm.
People complain about saying 20-minute promos, but here's the thing about wrestling. Professional wrestling is different from just wrestling. Amateur, if you want to watch 100% wrestling all the 100% time, go to your high school and watch amateur wrestling. Professional wrestling is about entertainment as well, and Triple H can do that on the microphone. He has the ability to entertain an audience easily. He's like John Cena, but a heel.
I couldn't agree more. And to that point, I truly believe that maybe in the early to mid 2000s, I felt that way, that Triple H was overexposed and he was killing the show. But I think now, and no disrespect to the current crop of wrestlers, I think a lot of it has to do with the training and the focus on scripts. I personally believe that Triple H is like a breath of fresh air on the mic, because a lot of the guys today are so forced. I think with the exception of maybe Daniel Bryan, John Cena, and a couple other guys, I mean, even some old school guys like Big Show come off extremely forced on the mic. And, I like the way Triple H tells the story, and I truly believed some of what he was saying tonight, and that he hates Sting, and he would have, him and his posse would have buried Sting had he come over from WCW. And I love the fact they brought reference to the last Nitro and how Sting put down Ric Flair, and he wasn't the one that got laid out on the last night of Nitro, but Sting made a decision that he wasn't going to be able to make it in WWE because of the politics and the players over there. And I thought that ran deep, and I really appreciated where Triple H was going with that. And I'm just saying, I'm not saying there's going to be a comeback or anything, but Jordan, do you think I'm reading into the amount of WCW references tonight and the sight of actual WCW superstars on the show tonight? I mean, I'm not saying there's going to be an invasion or anything, but man, that was a very heavy WCW influence.
They mentioned WCW a lot on this program tonight, and especially near the end, where Hugh Morris and Norman Smiley were holding the guys back. WCW was mentioned, not like, I kind of take back what I said. It wasn't mentioned a lot, but it was mentioned a few times. And that always makes you question. It's kind of like when TNA mentions WWE on TNA, people say like, oh my god, did they just say that? So it was one of those moments for me, but when they mentioned it a lot.
I got excited.
I got excited too. It's always good to remember the old days, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I mean, they could do anything they want with that brand. I mean, not saying they're going to go full blown, but I mean, they own it.
Yeah, they own it, so they could do whatever.
I don't know. I just thought it was very cool, and I really think it was interesting how Triple H is so bent that he pushed down his boy Flair, and it's interesting Flair stuck his nose in that segment, but I do like the component of the fact that I didn't never really thought of it till tonight. I do like how Triple H is basically completely underestimating Sting, and I also like Ric Flair did something I really appreciated in that segment. Was I actually thought to myself during WrestleMania, and I know I got killed on the network for it, I really thought, yeah, it's Team Triple H. He's going to beat Daniel Bryan in 5 minutes. That's what I thought. And I liked it that that Flair actually explained why he lost and why he was beaten and so outgamed by Bryan. I love that segment. I mean, that was just, it really completes the last year very well. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, me too. I completely agree with you with what you're saying right now. If anyone is listening live here on AngryMarks.com, don't forget to check out the chat room. As most shows, I'm a good guy, and I always pop in, ask questions in the chat room, and I will answer them in the chat room. Or, if you guys are lucky, you'll get an answer from Jordan Garber himself live on the air.
I've heard a rumor, Jordan.
What's that? I
hear you're going to be interviewing some very big guests in the future, or if not already, on the Angry Marks Network. Can you tell us about that?
Well, it has been announced, of course. January 15th was a big date for me in Sewers, Manitoba, which is technically in the middle of nowhere, but that place is always going to remain special to me. I interviewed Big Papa Pump Scott Steiner, which was amazing for me, on January the 31st when I worked the Primo show. Well, technically I was supposed to work the show, but they didn't have time for me. Hopefully next show, which will probably happen. Point being so, I interviewed AJ Styles on that show, and plus, coming soon, JGW with none other than Kazarian. So you guys are in for a treat, all the fans. It's going to be great.
Big Papa Pump's a guy we've talked about quite a bit on this show over the years. One of our all-time favorites, me and Big Dick. And, dude, I mean...
Wait, are you saying Big Vic, or are you saying Big...
Well, that actually is kind of one of the ribs on the show that, depending on how I feel, I either call him Big Vic or Big Dick. So, during a show...
Such a jerk, right?
What's that?
Why are you saying that? Big Dick? It's like, okay, that could mean something else, or that could mean like...
he likes that I'm ribbing him. It's just, I think it's more of me calling him an asshole, Big Dick, you know, because he is a dick, but I love him. But,
Okay.
I do love the guy. He's great. But,
what is my motivation? I ain't got none!
You gotta love our clips. But, let's talk a little divas. You know, what's that?
You brought up the word diva, and it's like, damn, now I'm excited.
I'll tell you something. I didn't realize how good Paige's backside was till tonight. Baby's got back for sure. The Bellas stole Paige's gear, and she wound up wearing a pixie costume that she took from one of the Rosebuds, and basically just worked Summer Rae for about 7 to 8 minutes, and picked up a fairly easy win in a tune-up match for her pay-per-view title shot against Nikki Bella. I guess the point of the segment was Paige can wrestle a broom and look good, which she did, and she can wrestle in basically anything and look good, which she did. I actually enjoyed the segment, believe it or not.
I love this segment. Paige, I'll be honest with you guys right now. Currently, my favorite women's wrestler in WWE is Paige. I've honestly grown to become a huge fan of her. I'm a big fan of her wrestling matches. I watched her matches before she was in WWE, when she was in England. I watched her NXT matches. This woman has the brightest future right now when it comes to wrestling. Like, she deserves everything that she is receiving. She's already a 2-time Divas champion, and you just look at someone like Paige, and you can tell a woman like her, since it's Paige, obviously, Paige is going to go far in the wrestling business by far. She's going to become a legend. This woman has it all.
Yeah, I mean, she's clearly more talented than pretty much anyone, you know, in the division right now, in my opinion. You know, I know a lot of people are talking about the match at the NXT special, and, you know, the Sasha Banks and Charlotte are getting a lot of props. I personally think Paige is a way more talented wrestler than both of them, but she doesn't get 20-minute matches to show what she can do. So, you know, in my opinion, I think Paige is going to be the face of the division and the lead for a long, long time. And I think she's going to be a character that will transcend like AJ Lee did, where she's playing roles as the GM and interacting with a lot of the male characters as she develops. She's very young, obviously. So I think as she gets more maturity, she'll obviously be more of a focal point in the storylines. But the sky's the limit for Paige, for sure.
Oh yeah, most definitely. I completely agree with you. And I just explained why. Like, this sky is the limit for Paige. She's going to go far. She's already gone far, and the sky is the limit indeed.
Yeah, and I would say the other Divas match was actually pretty good itself, too. It was Jimmy Uso and Naomi versus Natalya and Tyson Kidd. And I will just say this. I absolutely love what a dicky character Tyson Kidd has become, and I love his relationship with Cesaro, and I love how they just shit on Natalya, but just never shit on each other, and they have nothing but respect for each other. I love the whole dynamic, and it was a good work match, but I'm really hoping at Fastlane WWE gets the belts off the Usos. I've had enough of them. They're horrible, and you know, Natalya's great, and I think Tyson Kidd and Cesaro are great too.
The Usos are very entertaining in my mind, but I think that we should see new champions. I really hope Kidd and Cesaro win them, because both of them are extremely talented wrestlers. They just have limitless talent. It's incredible. Hopefully they win the titles at Fastlane.
I agree. And when they showed the skit of Natalya, Tyson, and Cesaro out on a date with Jimmy and Naomi, I loved just literally when Cesaro knocked Jimmy out as the fifth wheel on the date. I love when Tyson just stands over Jimmy and goes, "How do you like that, Oos?" I just love that. He's such a dick, and I love him for it. And I'm really loving Tyson Kidd getting the airtime because he's been delivering. He's really a talented guy. I always thought that back with the Hart Dynasty and everything. It just, he just never has gotten his just due. But I think all the great things he did training the guys down in NXT, I think people are starting to realize, it's time to give back to Tyson Kidd a little bit. The guy looks like $1 million. He wrestles like $1 million, and he's not bad talking. I love him. I think he's great.
I think he's fantastic. I've had the honor to talk to the guy a few times. And the guy's classy too. Ever since he started to get his name out there in the Indies, he had this Facebook, and he still does have this Facebook. And every time I had a birthday, he was always nice enough to. He's always nice to just. He always talked to me once in a while, and he always wished me a happy birthday. And the guy was really a really, really nice guy. He takes his job very seriously, but at the same time, he's very polite and very respectful of people, and the man can wrestle. The man is completely a star.
Anybody who, it's funny, I know a lot of people like this. Anybody who marries, the girl they were with from, they were 16 or 17, they're generally a good person because they're family-oriented and, they have their shit in order. And Tyson Kidd's clearly, that type of guy. I know on Total Divas and all that, they play a storyline that they're disconnected, but they're obviously not in real life. It doesn't surprise me. Good for Tyson Kidd. And, lucky you've had interaction with him. Another thing I want to bring up tonight is obviously one of the key points in the storylines tonight is the plot growing between John Cena, who's been implied to be over the hill by, Rusev, and John Cena himself in the segment they had in the first scene. I have to tell you, when Cena came out and Rusev came out, I really was dreading. I'm like, they're going to start the show with this crap. This is going to be stupid. But then a brutal heel-like beatdown ensued where John Cena completely decimated and destroyed Rusev after defending himself and his reputation for about 10 minutes. And it was uncomfortable to watch how he was basically legitimately curb stomping and not the move. Literally a man's head was on the ground and he continued to punch a lifeless man over and over and over again. It was borderline disturbing. It was ruthless, and I loved it. And it makes me realize how much I hate Rusev, because I thought it was the greatest thing watching Cena just destroy him. What did you make of that whole segment?
It made me smile. I don't know. Cena can always do that. Cena knows how to always go over his face and to just complete gold. You ever notice how, obviously we know that we're involved in the wrestling business doing these shows, but at the same time while watching these shows, do you ever feel that boost of adrenaline when the face is destroying this monster heel? That was one of those moments.
You think?
I think so, yeah.
Why do you feel that way?
I don't know. And that's very rare when it happens to me. It happens probably only 1% of the time out of all the shows I watch, and that was one of the moments. It kind of boosted my adrenaline up a little bit.
Do you feel like it killed all of Rusev's steam?
What's that, sorry?
Do you feel like Rusev got his steam killed in that segment?
Yeah, for sure.
Well, one would use the WWE booking 101, and it tends to make me believe when someone gets beat down that one-sided before a pay-per-view, that means they're probably going to win the match.
Rusev's probably going to win the match, or it's going to end in disqualification. And that's what I know for a fact, too, is that I can't picture John Cena winning the United States Championship. He's a 15-time world champion. Why would he need it? I've been through this before on the SmackDown Rundown.
It's odd.
Why would he need a U.S. title if he's won 15 world titles already?
He shouldn't. And, I remember a segment on WCW where Booker T and Bret Hart was new in WCW at the time, and he's coming in as the big WWE champion, and Booker T at the time was the television champion. And this is before Booker became a world champion. And Booker T, it was getting really heated, and Booker T held up the belt, his TV title, and goes, and goes, "You want a shot at this tonight, Bret? You want this?" And Bret Hart gets the mic. He goes, "Yeah, whatever. Bring whatever you want. You can bring that belt with you. I don't care." And the way he just pissed on the television title, it made me like realize, like, wow, Bret is legit. Like, he doesn't care. Like, it means nothing to him. And that's the way John Cena should feel about the U.S. title. It's weird that he would want it. I mean, it doesn't make sense. I agree with you.
Completely. Why would he want the U.S. title if he's already won all these titles in his career? Although it is another title to add to the collection, another thing to add to his resume, but just a little thing, right, compared to what else he's accomplished.
You know what's stupid, though, Jordan? We talked about this on the show. I hate the fact that the Intercontinental title and the U.S. title essentially mean the same thing. I mean, it's like a North American title or a U.S. title. Or, you know, Intercontinental, obviously, you know, you think Mexico, North America, Canada, that, you know, that's your Intercontinental title. And I guess the U.S. title is just the U.S. title. But the U.S. title should be the European title, and then use the European title as your main event at any show you do in Europe, and always have that title on the line on any show you do in Europe. And that title would have awesome meaning. It would be kind of cool, you know? That's pretty easy to book.
Well, I think they should keep the U.S. title and the Intercontinental title. If there's less titles in WWE, how fun is that going to be?
Yeah, but what I would do is, I actually agree with what you're saying, because the roster's so big. I would keep the Intercontinental title out for obvious reasons, but I would literally institute the European title. And just like during the late 90s, when they did a show in Europe, whether it was Bulldog, Shawn Michaels, or whoever held the European title, that was the main event on those shows. And then what I would do is reinstitute the Cruiserweight Championship. That would be awesome. I mean, that'd be cool.
That'd be really cool. And you know what sucks is that title's had such a great history, and the last Cruiserweight champion was Hornswoggle.
It's a disgrace. That's embarrassing. That's not cool. And it's almost pissing on WCW's legacy. I love the Cruiserweight title, and it was a big part of wrestling, you know, throughout the 90s, you know, and it really bothers me, man. You don't have to tell me. I mean, I hate Hornswoggle so much, and I hate his character. It really makes a mockery of WWE, and honestly, no kids like Hornswoggle either. There's nobody into Hornswoggle. He's stupid. It's a dumb character.
Here's a funny thing, that the Cruiserweight title, the WWE's version of the belt, was actually my favorite belt design of all time for championship belts. I don't know why. I love that design.
The one Taka Michinoku won for the first time?
No, just the Cruiserweight title, like in 2007. Like, that title was sick. Like, I loved it.
I remember. I know which one you're talking about now. Yeah. I always liked the SmackDown WWE Tag Championship. That was one of my favorites. The blue one. Cool
too. Yeah, exactly.
It was so badass. One tag title was blue and the other one was red. That was so sweet. You go on Raw, they have the red titles. What were you saying?
Guest 5_571 asks, I wonder if Tensai wants a Middle East title for when they go to Abu Dhabi. I can't pronounce where they're going, but
Abu Dhabi.
Yeah, it's a hard place to pronounce. But do you think the WWE is going to have a Middle Eastern? Of course they're not. But as a joke, do you think the WWE is going to have a?
No, but Europe is a huge market for WWE. Guys, UK. I mean,
that would be first cool, off, that would be very cool.
Yeah, and Europe, what these people don't realize is there's also Eastern Europe, too. Europe isn't just France, Italy, Spain, and, you know, the United Kingdom. There's actual other countries to the east of that. It's a huge continent with tons of cash, folks. Tons of cash. And they do a lot of shows there. And half your roster is from either Canada or the United Kingdom. So, you know, I mean, I think that's cool. I think it shows you're aware of your fan base. U.S. title. You have an Intercontinental title. Why don't you have an America title and a U.S. title then? It's stupid. It's dumb. There's no reason to have such redundancy. I'd rather them have a television title and only defend that on main event once a week.
That'd be cool.
That's what they used to do. You know, it's funny. WCW Sunday Night throughout the 80s and early 90s, every Sunday night that title was always defended at the end of the show. And basically, throughout the end of the late 80s and early 90s, it was Brian Pillman, Tom Zank, Great Muta, and Arn Anderson trading the belt back and forth for some of the best matches I've ever seen. And Bobby Eaton. Great matches. Anyway, but that's the old wrestling purist in me. For a young man, I remember my wrestling when I was 8 and 9. Anyway, speaking of titles, and I don't want to spend too much time on this, Bad News Barrett will be taking on Dean Ambrose at Fastlane. Bad News Barrett took on Mizdow, and Mizdow, because of Miz, interfering and humiliating his crony. Bad News Barrett gets an easy win, but Barrett put his guard down, and it allowed Ambrose to handcuff him with plastic cuffs to the pole and forced him to sign a contract. So Wade Barrett is signed to take on Dean Ambrose at Fastlane. How do you feel about that match?
I think that's going to be a very good match. Both extremely talented wrestlers. I like the build-up to it. Ambrose, of course, he's having fun with this. I think that's a perfect add to Fastlane. It's not going to be the match of the year, obviously, but it's going to be a good match, a good solid match for sure. I'm going to enjoy it.
Great pairing, and I loved how Ambrose forced Barrett to sign. I thought that was very clever, and it'll be one of those things we actually remember. But what's interesting is Wade Barrett's character is not one to run away from anyone, and it's been pretty consistent since he's been in WWE. I was a little disappointed that he was being chicken shit heel to Dean Ambrose, of all people, considering he hasn't backed down from anyone since he's gotten there. Thought that was a little odd.
Yeah, I agree.
Another thing about Barrett, is it just me or was he absolutely shredded tonight?
Yeah, he looked in beast mode tonight.
Dude, he looks like awesome. He looks like he now looks like that bare knuckle fighter. He didn't have an ounce of fat on him. You know, Wade Barrett's great, man. Dean Ambrose is great too. I mean, this is a great position on the card for these guys. I think they're going to shine. I think they're going to do a real nice job at the pay-per-view. Fastlane is quietly becoming a very good pay-per-view with the matches signed. And, you know, you look at Barrett versus Ambrose, and you look at Kidd and Cesaro getting title shots. The best workers are getting good spots in the card, and that's really how it should be. And it should be a really fast, action-packed show, and I think it'll deliver. So I'm excited about that. We talked a little bit about, you know, actually we should probably, before we get to the main event and that whole segment, there was a match tonight and an interaction between Seth Rollins and Dolph Ziggler. What did you make of all? I guess what I should ask you is this. Let's start from the beginning, and I guess that would be last week's Raw. Did you and Vic actually know on the air last week what happened to Seth Rollins?
Oh yeah, I did know what happened to Seth Rollins, and he's a victim of something that, well, you know, the man's trying to move on, and some idiot woman decided. Point is that like Seth Rollins was exposed by his ex-girlfriend over social media, and it went viral pretty much.
You know, although his look and physique is somewhat unique, he should have just denied it. He should have said it wasn't him. I give him credit for taking ownership, but he should have just denied it.
Well, how? His face is in the picture.
Oh, well, I didn't actually see the picture. I heard he just had his shirt off and stuff, so you could tell it was him, you know, because of his build, but I didn't realize his face was in it. That's bad.
I haven't really seen the pictures, because I'm not really into that stuff, so that's not my thing.
I didn't realize it had his face in it. That's pretty bad.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know. That's the worst thing you could do if you're on top of WWE, and that happens. That must suck. But at least
she placed that. She waited. She waited. It's
not like, what's that?
She waited. Right before WrestleMania time, he probably was going to cash in Money in the Bank and win and go off the air as the champion, and now they can't. Well, they can, but you know Vince. Vince is going to care about image, and he's not going to want that to be his champion. And it's going to take a while before he'll put the belt on him. I believe that.
Oh, yeah. But, like, obviously, I think they're going to still... It's good that, like... Because if it was really that bad, Seth Rollins would have got fired. Like, if it was really, really bad, it's just he apologized and everything, and people should just move on from it. Right?
Actually, he shouldn't have to apologize.
That shit all the time, so...
He should not have to apologize. The fact that he was with his significant other and decided to make a video or take a pictures or whatever the hell he did, I don't think that's anyone's business. If someone leaks it, that's not his fault. He shouldn't have to apologize. What Hogan did, are you kidding me? And everyone's forgot about that. Dude, I get more shit for talking about the Hogan sex tape on the air than Hogan did. People forget that even happened. Hogan gets away with everything.
Hogan does get away with, well, what happened with the Hogan sex tape? I didn't really remember that much. What was that about?
No, I watched the entire Hogan sex tape, just so you know.
Oh, no.
And my favorite part was before he is about...
Okay. You have favorite parts? What the heck?
Before he's about to get it on with Bubba's wife, he says, man, I'm stuffed. I feel like a pig. I ate so much food at dinner. And then begins what he's doing.
What the hell? Well, I know I'm not going to be watching that, so I wonder how she felt when Hulkamania ran wild on her.
I don't even remember. Maybe I saw an edited version. I don't even remember what I saw because I don't remember. I clicked on a link on one of the wrestling websites and I watched it, and it was just ridiculous, and it was grainy. It was horrible. You couldn't even really make anything out. But the track itself was very, very funny, and the things that he was saying. And he just apparently ate like a pig, and that's the one thing I can remember about it. But
was he doing her in one? Like, was he doing one thing with her and then doing another thing while eating roast beef at the same time in bed, or how did that happen?
No, I think he came in after a big meal, so he entered the room and then announced he just ate all this food, which was kind of odd. But anyway, so Rollins obviously is now a victim of a similar situation.
Yeah, well, that happens all the time, so, he shouldn't have apologized, but he did, and honestly, people should just move on from it.
This is standard fare, Rollins versus Ziggler tonight. They obviously put on a decent match for the little bit they did match up. Do you feel that there's going to be a rematch on Fastlane? Like, what do you make of all this? Because Rowan and Ryback came out and helped Ziggler. It looked like Ziggler was going to win the match. I mean, he basically had Rollins beat with the zigzag. And then J&J jumped in, and then Rowan and Ryback did their thing. So I'm thinking there's not going to be a six-man, but I assume something's going to get signed between now and Sunday. What do you think?
I think so, yeah. I can relate to that. I didn't really catch that segment, so I don't really know, but, it seems like it's going to be something good to happen at Fastlane.
If they don't make it Rowan, well, basically, like I said, good match back and forth, but it wasn't very long between Rollins and Ziggler. Rollins came out and basically just said he's above wrestling guys like Dolph Ziggler because of where he's been and what the Money in the Bank is worth. And Ziggler obviously took an insult to that. Came out and really gave Rollins, a run for his money. He was about to get curb stomped, super kicks Rollins, hits him with the zigzag. Match was done, but J&J cut the pin off. Out comes Rowan and Ryback, and the faces celebrate and beat everyone's asses. Now, I hope they don't take the easy way out and book that, when in reality, you got this stacked card. You throw Rollins versus Ziggler, no DQ on top of all that, now you got a crazy-ass card,
Indeed. Like I said, Fastlane is shaping up to be a great build-up for WrestleMania. The card looks great so far.
It looks better than WrestleMania. This happened last year, Elimination Chamber. They loaded up the card, and they had probably one of the most meaningful matches in years. The Shield versus the Wyatts. I don't know why in the world they did not save that for WrestleMania, but that match, if that match would have been on WrestleMania, that's what people would be talking about. That match. But they threw it on Elimination Chamber. Most people just didn't watch the pay-per-view. If you get WWE Network, do yourself a favor and go watch that match. It was just an amazing match. WWE's been known in February to always put a good pay-per-view together. It's kind of odd, given it's between Royal Rumble and WrestleMania, but something happens during those 3 months where WWE always comes up with their best TV, and I felt like Raw kind of was the same way tonight, man. I felt like it was almost like a different writing team. Everything clicked, man. Everything I saw, I liked. From the Diva stuff to little segments like the Oos thing I talked about to Big Show, like where the hell you been for the last half decade, giving a great match. I mean, it's just like everybody's raising their game. And I'm going to throw this out there. I think NXT is what's causing all this. I really do.
I agree.
Because the wrestling, I hate. Okay, let me preface this. There's a lot of, and I don't care, you can get on me. There's a lot of overhyped, not so great wrestling on NXT. You could tell me till I'm blue in the face how entertaining guys like Cassidy and Enzo are. Like, dude, whatever. They're not entertaining. They're not funny. It's not good TV, and it will not translate to WWE Raw. But the core guys they have are just tearing the effing roof off. I mean, I can't deny it. No, I mean, just between Neville, Zayn, Balor, these guys are, Owens even coming on. I mean, these guys are kicking ass. I mean, and they're telling good stories, and the chemistry's there from their past interactions. on the indies. I mean, I see what the buzz is. But let's not just say everything from NXT is great, because there's some really goofy shit they put on TV there. Like, I still don't get... What's that?
I love NXT, and you're going to say exactly what I was going to say. Like, looking at all this talent that they have, and there's so many people saying that, like, their roster's better than the main roster.
I don't know if I agree with that. I think the top of their roster...
I don't agree with it, but it almost seems like that at times.
But, like, they're tag team guys. Like, seriously, you do realize the majority of their tag teams, it's just gimmick wrestling. It is gimmicks. It is not good wrestling. It is just gimmick tag teams. That's all it is. You could tell me it's not, but I'm watching the product, and it's just gimmicky. It's gimmicky gimmicks. Tell me I'm wrong.
No, I agree with you.
I don't think the Lucha Dragons are anything special. It's Sin Cara, same guy, Hunico. You know, I think Primo and Epico as themselves, when they were tag team champions and being themselves, are better Lucha Dragons than Lucha Dragons for sure. They're better wrestlers, and I think you could see on the big stage the problems the Ascension's having, and I actually was buying into them more than anybody. I still do. You know, they're good, but not great. But what you're seeing in NXT is that top of the card, they truly are great, and you can't deny. I mean, it is just so obvious how good these guys are, and it must be funny for them to know that they have to play the game and play the politics and play Mother May I and wait my turn, and they're better than 90% of the guys on the roster. That's gotta suck. That's gotta suck. Like, Sami Zayn, like, you listen, man, I killed him a year ago on the show, but I've watched him week after week after week. He's one of the best wrestlers in WWE, for sure. And there's that one person under 10 years old who knows who he is. That's criminal, man. That's criminal. That's horrible. Right? I mean, isn't it?
Exactly. I completely agree with what you're saying. You're just hitting the nail right on the head right now.
It's true. It's true. I mean, I see it myself, you know? But I loved Neville versus Balor at the NXT show. I thought that was just an awesome match. I can't wait to see them do that on WWE. But you know what, though? If that's what's going to make Big Show earn his money and do what he did tonight, and it really wasn't, and I want everybody to watch the match tonight, it wasn't just Bryan carrying Big Show. Big Show actually was doing some stuff and put on a good show. I don't think Kane versus Roman Reigns was very good at all. And I think what's happened with Kane is they've just jobbed him out so much, and I think he appreciates his role of putting over talent so much that he actually wrestles and thinks like a jobber now. It blows my mind. He's the same guy that blew on the screen in 1997, ripping the cage door off and dominating The Undertaker. Now he's been relegated to this. And I don't think the Roman Reigns match with Kane was very good. I don't think the story was told very good. I don't think Reigns actually did anything bad. I think he actually looked good in the match. I think Kane just really looked shitty in that match, which normally he's a pretty good worker, but he just really, really looked like he mailed it in. Lost by count out. Daniel Bryan was hysterical at the ringside, trying to troll Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns at ringside during the Big Show match versus Daniel Bryan in return. I think that was the first time I've seen Roman Reigns show character, and I absolutely loved him signing autographs and taking selfies with people in the crowd. That was awesome, and that's the stuff that will get you over. Did you like that, or did you not think it was worth anything?
Kind of neutral on this topic.
Really?
Yeah.
You weren't surprised to see Roman Reigns taking selfies with people with his gimmick and what it is?
Just kidding around. Of course that was cool. Like, I just wanted to see what you're going to do. But to see Roman Reigns, like, just taking selfies with everyone and signing autographs, I don't know. I thought it was really funny more than anything. Just because he's sitting there at a match and it just makes you think, man, wrestling's silly sometimes. Because now he's sitting there watching the match in anger, and then he's taking selfies and signing autographs for people. It's hilarious. I love it.
I love the lack of respect that they're showing each other, and it shows a different dynamic of Reigns' character. He's so underestimating Bryan, and that theme is kind of resonating throughout the night, where they were talking backstage, and Reigns said, "These people didn't give you an opportunity. I did. I didn't have to give you the match." And I started thinking to myself, that is true. Like, Reigns shouldn't have given him a match. There was no reason to. And Reigns, in his own little way, basically alluded to the audience how with ease, Bryan got eliminated from the Royal Rumble. And instead of just accepting it, he cries about it, comes out the next week on Raw and tries to manipulate the crowd. I thought that was an interesting angle there. I kind of enjoyed that because it's true, you know?
Oh, yeah. I got feel lucky for those people that got to take a selfie with Roman Reigns on live TV.
I'm sure they enjoyed it. You know, I will tell you one thing, though, that's in the back of my mind. You know, there's three ways this can go at the pay-per-view, and I thought Big Show and Daniel Bryan was very well done. It looked like Daniel Bryan was probably going to win, but Roman Reigns interrupted the match and took out Big Show because there was a collision at ringside, and then basically Reigns and Bryan fight and go at it off the air. Here's the thing, though, Jordan. There's three ways this match is going to go at Fastlane. Okay? We have way number one, Daniel Bryan, he just wins, and WWE decides to give the fans what they want. Roman Reigns isn't carrying the ball. Don't think that's going to happen. There could be a complete schmoz, not really a clean ending, maybe a double pin. I could see the double pin angle used. That hasn't been used in a while. A good old German suplex, two pairs of shoulders down. That's an old one that could be pulled, that's dusted off every now and then, and they both get put into the triple threat. Or what I actually think is going to happen, and I believe this is going to happen, I think Roman Reigns is going to crush Daniel Bryan and go over in a big way and get steamed to WrestleMania. What do you think?
I agree. Like I said before, Roman Reigns won the Royal Rumble, so it's like, if he doesn't end up going to WrestleMania as a face Lesnar, then what's the point of the whole Rumble, right?
Right. Well, I think the fact that they even booked this, I think this was a mistake, because now you're giving the fans hope, and I know McMahon and his crew likes to shove it down the fans' throats. This is going to backfire horribly if they don't either let Daniel Bryan win or let him in the match in some way. So listen to me, WWE, now. I don't actually want this, but if you want your WrestleMania to not get hijacked, use the German suplex double pin angle, because it'll calm everyone down and it makes everyone happy. However, you're not going to do that. You're going to shove Daniel Bryan losing down the throats of the fans, and you're going to put him in the corner against Dolph Ziggler and say, okay, go have a great show and have a great match, and you'll give them 10 or 15 minutes to do crazy-ass spots, and you'll put him in the opener. I really believe if WWE does, and I'm pretty sure that Reigns is going to win, and he's going to win cleanly, I think the end of WrestleMania is going to go really bad. I think, or either that or the crowd's going to want to completely cheer Brock Lesnar, and Lesnar's, that maybe they'll be entertained by that, but Roman Reigns cannot walk out of WrestleMania with the title after beating Daniel Bryan at Fastlane. And I think that's probably what's going to happen. I think WWE is crazy. They're going to lose their fans.
I think it's what's going to happen. You know why it's going to happen?
Why?
Because Brock Lesnar is supposed to leave the WWE. Remember that? Yeah,
I know. It's too bad because he's the man. What he did at Royal Rumble was the shit of legends, man. That match was so crazy. That Royal Rumble match may have been one of the best matches I've ever seen, ever.
It's unfortunate too, because hopefully my prediction is, and it's not gonna. I'm not saying it's gonna happen, but my prediction is we're gonna see Roman Reigns as the WWE World Heavyweight Champion.
I know. It's not that I completely hate Roman Reigns or anything, but you could have him win the title over the summer and whatever, give him his title reign, but WrestleMania is the end of the season. It's the Super Bowl, and people just remember WrestleMania. I mean, that's the only thing I ever really remember at the end of the year is who won who won the big match at WrestleMania. I remember who won every single main event, every single title match, and if this is the way they want to go, it's the way they want to go. I think we might have lost Jordan here. Jordan, are you still on? Kev will try and get Jordan back in the meantime. But like I said, it was a very entertaining Raw tonight, and I thought it was a well booked show. There was really nothing I didn't like at all. I mean, I'd give it a solid A. Solid A. Proud to say that. Very entertaining show, and I'm very pumped up for Fastlane. Killer Kev, did you catch any of the show tonight? No, you did not. Well, Killer Kev is also not on the air, and I'm starting to think maybe I'm not on the air, but maybe I am. We are on.
Did my phone cut off?
It did, and I guess Kev got you back, but he didn't talk into the phone either. I just basically what I just said was I gave Raw tonight. I was super entertained. I gave it a solid A. That's how much I liked it tonight.
I will give it a B-.
That's good. That's a good rating. I don't give out the A often, Jordan, but I gotta say I was super, super, super entertained tonight. The only thing I actually didn't like was Kane's performance in the Roman Reigns match. And I'm a huge Kane mark, love Kane. I just don't think he gave his best effort tonight. That's all.
Yeah, exactly.
And I hate to do that because Kane's my boy and I love Kane, but he could do much better than that. See, when Big Show puts on a show like he did tonight, I gotta look at everybody and say, guys, come on. I mean, Big Show tore the house down tonight. Maybe he was pumped up. He was in the main event. I mean, I don't know. He technically won the match, so it should be a great pay-per-view. Anything you want to say about Raw, Fastlane, or plug before we talk about our lineup of shows?
Oh, yeah. Raw overall, like I said, I gave it a B-. There's some good spots in it. Like I said, decent show. Not the best Raw I've seen, but it was a good show, most definitely. Fastlane is shaping up to be a great pay-per-view. Hopefully I get to watch it. That would be a good thing to see. I'm looking forward to Fastlane. All the matches look great. Sorry about that. As for plugs, coming up soon on AngryMarks.com, the interview I've conducted with Kazarian, that's for Jordan Garber's World. That interview is going to be up very soon. As well, coming very, very soon, are the interviews I've conducted with none other than Scott Steiner, which is the biggest interview I've ever done to date, and as well as AJ Styles. That's going to be a two-in-one show of jam-packed. They're short interviews, right? But two of these huge name interviews on one show is going to be great. That's going to be available on AngryMarks.com very soon. Follow me on Twitter at Jordan J. Garber. If you want to stay tuned for updates on Jordan Garber, that's the place to go. SmackDown Rundown on AngryMarks.com. Keep checking that out. Thursday Night AMP this Thursday. We have Brittany Blake on the air, which is going to be really cool. She's a really great up-and-coming professional wrestler, and she's making a name for herself very quickly, so it should be great to have her on. And yeah, just if you want to listen to some past stuff I've done, you guys can listen to lots of archived episodes on AngryMarks.com. Trust me, it's a very entertaining thing to do. And I think that's pretty much it for plugs.
Fantastic plugs. You know, for the brief time I've known you, it's very clear to me as a young man you have a very big network in your area of concentration, which happens to be sports entertainment. So very impressive lineup, and you're clearly making our network much better. So good for you, man. And I have to say, it's very evident to me we have great chemistry on the air together. I really enjoyed the show tonight, and I enjoyed your synopsis. You definitely give a unique and interesting perspective on things. So we're glad we were able to have you on here tonight. You're a true professional and a good man, so thank you.
Most definitely. Thank you so much for having me on as well. I really appreciate it.
Dude, you're always welcomed here. And, Raw Reaction, it's always Killer Kev's show, and I'm always happy to be on it. Killer Kev is the original OG. Kev, anything you want to plug before we get out of here tonight?
Sure, I'll go ahead and plug something. Earlier today, the gang over at the Undisputed Wrestling Show spent an hour of their day talking with former WCW Cruiserweight champion and former WWF Cruiserweight competitor Mark Marrow.
Wow, that's impressive.
Took a solid interview to talk about his early upcoming in the business, his time in WCW and WWF, his departure from the business, and what he's doing today that has hundreds of school kids around the country excited to hear his message.
Hopefully he's not talking about any type of, let's say, murders on CNN on our network.
No, not at all.
Keep his nose out of trouble.
You should definitely listen to that episode. It is up right now, and we're going to have another episode again tomorrow night.
We did have his friend DDP on quite a few times here on Angry Marks Network to talk about DDP yoga.
Yes, we have had DDP on in the past.
Anyway, you can see that in the archives. And as you know, DDP has been very outspoken on our friend Mark Marrow. So, interesting stuff that we're going to get both sides of the coin on the air.
And speaking of DDPs, our prayers are with him right now. In case you haven't heard, he is hospitalized. He has to have some major throat surgery.
I saw that, and in true DDP fashion, he's fighting the fight for sure, but completely positive. He's very active writing. You can read some of the stuff he put on. He's written to people on some of the wrestling websites if you Google it. DDP is a very positive guy, so hopefully it works out for him.
Yep.
But you're a very positive guy, Kev. Did you watch Raw tonight?
Not a bit of it. I am positive I did not watch Raw.
Very disappointing. Very disappointing. Well, definitely a great show tonight. Your loss. So
Well,
I'll ask you this before we get off the air. Are you officially now not a WWE Network member, or are you still a member?
I am officially not a WWE Network member, but I don't remember if we got to talk about this. You know how I went on my rant against them and said I was unsubscribing.
Yes. Did they ever get back to you?
Not last week, but the week before, WWE actually sent me 2 email messages. One of them asked me to take a survey on my departure from WWE Network, and then the second one is they offered me the February deal if I would come back.
With no commitments?
With no commitment.
Huh. So why are you going to take the free month to watch Fastlane?
No, I'm completely not interested in anything that's going on right now.
Well, that creates a little bit of an issue.
Backlash 2007.
What's that, Jordan?
You can watch the old stuff too, though. If you have the network, you can watch all like the pay-per-views and everything.
Yeah, but you know, I wasn't watching that stuff anyway.
That's what I would get it for, to be honest. I would get it for like the old content.
Yeah, the old content is cool, but at the same time, I've made this argument before. If I really wanted to see the old content as well, there's YouTube, there's BitTorrent, there's Usenet. There's plenty of ways for me to go watch it. None of it legal, of course, but that's aside from the fact.
I do love watching my old school WCW, as you guys know, on the WWE Network, but there's something that really annoys me. And I understand the copywriting piece, but literally if you go back far enough, like especially the late 80s, early 90s stuff, which is my favorite, pretty much anyone's theme music is not the theme music they had during that period. And it's just such a bummer hearing my boys come out to generic music that wasn't what they used. Like, I'll give you an example. The Michael Hayes and Jimmy Garvin version of the Freebirds, they basically dubbed this like crappy, like happy, like, I don't know, it's just like this happy music. It's like do 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 do, and basically the Freebirds are coming out and dancing to Bad Street, and the dancing looks good, but it doesn't go with the music they set. It just looks really weird, and it's so funny, and it just doesn't work. So that's been a little bit of a bummer. So you can take a look at that on the channel if you get a chance. But that's pretty much it. So anyway, anything else you want to add, Kev, before we get out of here?
No, I have nothing to add other than good episode, gentlemen. Thank you very much for being part of the Angry Marks Podcast Network, and thank you again to Jordan for stepping in tonight, and thank you for Jordan for putting up with me for not getting his interviews out sooner. It's been a crazy couple of weeks for me, and we've kind of lagged behind on some of those interviews, but the time I didn't spend watching Raw tonight was the time I spent finally getting those interviews edited, and they're going to be up this week. Excellent.
Well, I'll say this. Jordan Garber is the man of the hour tonight, but don't take my word for it. It's no BS. It's ESS.
Oh, boy.
Kev, hit the music for our man Eric Sims.